And I'm Jeff.
Welcome back to Kind Faith for Couples. We're excited to have you here.
We are excited. We are passionate about helping couples thrive, and we hope that what we share helps you. We are busting myths. We busted a myth last week. This week, we're busting a myth that surprises both of us, really. And the myth is that you know your spouse.
That could be a game show.
I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was called the dating game.
Oh, that's right.
So this myth is so surprising because you step into marriage because you know the person. You feel confident about saying I do because you've in a very crass way kicked the tires and figured out, is this somebody I want to spend the rest of my life with? But we're changing people. We're constantly changing.
Hopefully.
And so getting into and continuing to get to know our spouse is something that is hugely important, but falls by the wayside. Partly, I think, because of expectations. We move from hopes when we're dating and curiosity into just expectations when we get married. But we came up with 4 reasons why curiosity gets undermined and we stop working at knowing our spouse.
And I just need to take you back in time to when you were dating. And when you were dating, you were looking into his eyes, or he was looking into your eyes, asking, what's your favorite car? What's your favorite coffee? All this stuff. And that goes away because it's like, okay, I've already cataloged all those answers.
Yeah, and what's really the looking into your eyes and asking the questions, that's what built the intimacy of the relationship in the first place, right?
Right.
And then intimacy seems to go away, and this isn't just a powerful tool to strengthen your marriage. It deepens intimacy because you're engaging and asking the questions. So things that push curiosity and the quest to get to know the other out of the picture. The first one's obvious, right? It's time.
Time, for sure.
Everybody's busy. Time just seems to get shorter and shorter, and we just don't take the time to ask the questions. That's the first big one. What's the second one, though?
Well, busyness and availability, but number 2 is definitely being near but not close.
Being near but not close. What do you mean?
Talk about that, Jeff. That's looking at your phones. So we're here, but I'm looking at my phone. I'm not looking at Jeff.
Yeah, one of our traditions, it's a guilty tradition in the family, is after dinner we turn on the TV. We're near.
Yeah, but we're not
close.
And we're not engaging, and we're not talking. Mm-hmm. And having the cell phone at the dinner table.
Yeah, one of my people that I've done some reading with is a guy named Shane Hips. He wrote a book called Flickering Pixels. And in that book, he used this phrase about social media, which is what we use our phones for most. And it's social media has this incredible power to pull those who are far away close and to push those who are close far away. And it's because of that principle. It's nearness does not equal closeness. And we think we're near, but that nearness with distraction just undermines our intimacy and our ability to be curious and ask questions.
Right, because you don't want to be at a dinner table having dinner with the 3 or 4 or 5 people in your home and have an extra 10 people texting in during that dinner time. So those phones have to get turned off.
Yeah, the other one, this is the third that is really fascinating and important to keep an eye on is life management.
Right.
I remember when we brought Caleb home, remember bringing him home, put him in the back of our white Honda Accord at Mercy Hospital in San Diego and driving him home. And oh my gosh, where are we going to give this kid a bath? Like, we hadn't thought that through. So the kitchen sink became bath place for our son. And so much changed. Sleeping times, feeding times, food, everything was changing. And what I needed, I didn't even realize I needed it, but what I needed was for Marcy to stay in the box of my expectations. I couldn't have something else changing. And that's not a bad thing. But it definitely undermined my ability to be curious about her. And dear Lord, talk about change, talk about becoming a new person. But I locked her in a box.
Right. And I was changing because I was now a mother.
And I was being a father. And we were both changing. Our desires and passions and hearts were changing. And all of that needing to keep things stable undermined our curiosity. And then the last one is kind of a reverse one, right? It's the assumption that I'm already known.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
So you're thinking, okay, great. Well, I'll just ask my husband how his day was. Well, we all know that men speak less words in a day than women. And, or maybe you don't know that, but you do now. So he would come home and it's like, how was your day? Oh, this happened. And it was so within 10 seconds done. Like he was done talking about his day. And I needed more. And not just because I was at home all day with a child, but even before we had a child, I needed more of, well, who did you talk to? What were they wearing? Where were you? Were you in the lunch break room? Or where were you talking to them?
What was the color of his sweater?
Yeah. Did you go surfing? Whatever. Okay. So I thought, and all of a sudden I observed that when we were at a dinner party or a friend came over and Jeff would talk about his day, it was like this huge long dialogue of so much detail about his day because that person didn't really know the context of what his day was. And he was assuming that, well, you already know the context of my day, so why am I telling you about it? So we started this game, which was annoying.
It was annoying.
Okay. But it was still a game because we are going to that mode. But was if you were talking to so-and-so, I would ask Jeff this. If I were so-and-so, Steve or whatever, what would you tell me about your day? And he had to go into, okay.
I had to go into a different mode, and
Right.
it helped unlock this reality that I was already known. And I didn't realize, I don't think either of us realized that was what was going on, but it helped us move deeper. So those are 4 things that get in the way of curiosity. And I'm sure there's more for you, but those were 4 that stood out to us.
Yes.
And if you didn't guess, the myth is that we know one another, and the whole theme of this podcast is curiosity. And that gives us a great segue to our favorite TV show of all time,
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. We started watching it. It is wonderful. It's on Apple Plus. The link to the clip we're talking about is below. But about halfway through the season, this American football coach goes over to coach British football, and he's having a darts competition in a bar, and he quotes Walt Whitman, and the quote is, "Be curious, not judgmental." And while we immediately jump to judgmental as something hostile, judgmentalism is a bit of all those other things that we talked about, the barriers of busyness, needing to keep our spouses stable for us so we can manage life. All of those pieces actually are a form of judgmentalism, and really kind of deciding that things are right in our own eyes.
Right. Which brings us to our scripture verse.
Yeah.
The way of the fool
Is right in his own eyes.
But
The
wise man is he who listens to counsel.
We can quote it like that because we learned a little song about it when we were forced to memorize it.
Yes.
And we had a blast doing it. But listen to that verse again. The way of the fool is right in his own eyes. How often do you assume that you are absolutely right about what your spouse thinks, what your spouse feels, what your spouse is doing? How often? As I ask the question, I'm super convicted. I just assume, and I feel right in my own eyes, and the Bible calls that foolishness. And wisdom.
How many times have you said, I know what you're thinking?
Yeah. Yes. How many times have you heard it?
Guilty.
So foolishness is being wise in our own eyes, having judged it, having locked it up, put it in the box. But wisdom is listening to counsel. And when it comes to knowing your spouse, the only counselor is your spouse.
Right.
Marcy's the only one that can tell me about her and let me know and understand what she's feeling, thinking. And I'm the only one that can tell her. And so let's be wise, let's be kind, let's be curious.
So the only counselor, not the only counselor in your life, but the only counselor in
around the relationship.
In our relationship is each other. We have to know each other.
Mm-hmm. So we want to give you some tools. As we close this out, we want to give you some tools. Like it's tool time with Jeff and
challenge time.
Yeah. So one of the things that Marcy started for our family early on, which I found incredibly helpful, was we would sit around the table at dinner time and she would ask the question, how was your day on a scale of 1 to 10? Which doesn't seem like a real get to know you question, but she added this second part to it, which was so cool. It was, and what would it have taken to move it up one notch? And all of a sudden things were unlocked and we really got to know ways that days could have been made better, either things we could have done or things that could have happened that have been differently, that had made a difference. And so it was really
And
great.
even if they were wild dreams, like, this is what happened in my day. I was doing paperwork. What could have taken it up a notch? Flown an F-18 Hornet. That would have taken it up way, way up. So, or it could have been just been eating lunch. Lunch would have been a good thing that would have pushed up my day.
Yeah.
So, have fun with it.
Yep.
Continue.
So another question that is significant that you can begin to ask, actually another tool, is one of the things we keep on our dinner table is a little plastic box that is called Table Topics. The link is in the description of the video below. And it's a great tool. You pick out a card, you ask the question, and everybody in the table gets a chance to ask. On this, Table Topics and asking how could your day have been made a little bit better, and even this list, you've got a list right here in your hands.
So this is awesome. The New York Times put together the 36 questions that lead to love, and it was January 9th, 2015, which we will also have a link, but it's questions that progress in intimacy questions. So like the first one is, given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you have as a dinner guest? And we always add to the question,
yeah,
dead or alive.
Yeah, it's super helpful. It's so with these first three suggestions, one of my pet peeves is this concept of date night. Everybody knows that they're supposed to have a date night as a couple, and for most couples it's go to dinner, talk about the kids, or go to dinner, talk about work, maybe go to a movie if you've got time and everybody's got some energy. But that's kind of date night, and that time is still valuable, and that reporting of events of your day is still really important. But to deepen the curiosity is to ask these questions, and so maybe on your next date night, take this list that's down below in the description, or take a couple cards from the Table Topics deck, or just ask what's one thing that could have made your day better. Those are super helpful.
Or what's your favorite tree?
Yeah. So, and then finally, there's a app from the Gottman Institute that we put a link into that does this as well. So the Gottmans call this love maps, and continually updating the love maps on your spouse. And so if you go to the link, you can find that app, or you can just go to the Gottman Institute and you can see the apps that are there for you to download. And then they populate the questions on your phone right there at the dinner table or out on the date.
And they're fun.
Yeah.
And date night is not supposed to be business meeting time. It's fun time.
Yeah.
So make it fun.
Yeah. Hey, if you like this video, we would really appreciate it. It means a lot to us if you hit the like button. It means even more, though, if you leave some comments. We want to respond to all of your comments and connect with you. You can subscribe to this channel.
In the lower right-hand corner for our friends who are 40, maybe 50 plus. Anyway.
For our friends who wonder what that might mean.
Yes, in the lower right corner, there is the word subscribe in red. So click on it. It doesn't cost anything. but
It'll notify you when we have new videos.
Right.
Yep. And then finally, you can get all of this on our website, thekindfaith.org. So you can head over there anytime. We'll have descriptions and also some articles and some other things that are super helpful.
We busted the myth.
God bless you. Have a great week.
Bye, everybody.